जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद His Divine Grace भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ भगवान की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की समवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. A reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7, Text 44. Vidyadhara Uchuhu Vidyadhara Auchuhu Tvanmayayartam apipadya kalevaresmin Tvanmayayartam apipadya kalevaresmin Kritva mamahamiti durmatirutpataisvai Kritva mamahamiti durmatirutpataisvai Shiptopyasad vishayalalasa atmamoham Shiptopyasad vishayalalasa atmamoham Yushmat katamrita nishevaka udvyudusyasyeet Yushmat katamrita nishevaka udvyudasyet Yusmad katamrita nishevaka udvyudasyet Vidyadhara Uchuhu Tvanmayayartam abipadya kalevaresmin Kritva mamahamiti durmatirutpataisvai Sviptopyasad vishayalalasa atmamoham Yusmat katamrita nisevaka udvidasyet Vidyadhara Uchuhu Tvanmayayartam apipadya kalevaresmin कृत्वा ममाहमिति दुर्मतिरुत्पतैस्वये क्षिप्तोऽप्यसद्विषयलालस आत्ममोहम् युष्मत्कथामृतनिषेवक उद्व्युदस्ये विद्याधर ऊचुः त्वन्माययार्थमभिपद्य कलेवरेऽस्मिन् कृत्वा ममाहम् इति दुर्मतिरुत्पतैस्वये क्षिप्तोऽप्यसद्विषयलालस आत्ममोहम् युष्मत्कथामृतनिषेवक उद्व्युदस्ये विद्याधर ऊचुः त्वन्माययार्थमभिपद्य कलेवरेऽस्मिन् कृत्वा ममाहमिति दुर्मतिरुत्पतैस्वये क्षिप्तोऽप्यसद्विषयलालस आत्ममोहम् युष्मत्कथामृतनिषेवक उद्व्युदस्ये विद्याधर ऊचुः त्वन्माययार्थमभिपद्य कलेवरेऽस्मिन् कृत्वा ममाहमिति दुर्मतिरुत्पतैस्वये क्षिप्तोऽप्यसद्विषयलालस आत्ममोहम् युष्मत्कथामृतनिषेवक उद्व्युदस्ये माताजी विद्याधर ऊचुः त्वन्माययार्थमभिपद्य कलेवरेऽस्मिन् कृत्वा ममाहमिति दुर्मतिरुत्पतैस्वये क्षिप्तोऽप्यसद्विषयलालस आत्ममोहम् विद्याधर ऊचुः त्वन्माययार्थमभिपद्य कलेवरेऽस्मिन् कृत्वा ममाहमिति दुर्मतिरुत्पतैस्वये क्षिप्तोऽप्यसद्विषयलालस आत्ममोहम् युष्मत्कथामृतनिषेवक उद्व्युदस्ये विद्याधर ऊचुः त्वन्माययार्थमभिपद्य कलेवरेऽस्मिन् कृत्वा ममाहमिति दुर्मतिरुत्पतैस्वये क्षिप्तोऽप्यसद्विषयलालस आत्ममोहम् युष्मत्कथामृतनिषेवक उद्व्युदास्येत्. Word to word translation, please repeat. Vidyadaraha, the Vidyadharas. Uchuhu said, Twadmayaya, by your external potency. Artham, the human body. Abhipadya, after obtaining. Kalevare, in the body. Asmin, in this. Kritva, having misidentified. Mama, mine. Aham, I. Iti, thus. Durmatihi, the ignorant person. Utpataihi, by wrong roads. Swaihi, by one's own belongings. Shiptaha, distracted. Api, even. Asat, temporary. Vishayalalasaha, having his happiness in sense objects. Atmamoham, the illusion of the body as the self. Yusma, your. Kata, topics. Amrita, nectar. Nishevakaha, relishing. Ut, from a long distance. Vyudasya, can be delivered. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sabai Charana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation. The Vidyadhara said, Dear Lord, this human form of body is meant for attaining the highest perfectional objective. But impelled by your external energy, the living entity misidentifies himself with this body and with the material energy. And therefore, influenced by Maya, he wants to become happy by material enjoyment. He is misled and always attracted by temporary, illusory happiness. But your transcendental activities are so powerful that if one engages in the hearing and chanting of such topics, he can be delivered from illusion. Purport. The human form of life is called Artada because the body can very nicely help the embodied soul to achieve the highest perfection. Prahlad Maharaj said that even though temporary, the body can give us the highest perfectional achievement. In the process of evolution from the lower to the higher grade of living, the human form of life is a great boon. But Maya is so strong that in spite of achieving this great boon of the human form of life, we are influenced by temporary material happiness and we forget our goal of life. We are attracted by things which will cease to exist. The beginning of such attraction is the temporary body. In this horrible condition of life, there is only one way of liberation: to engage in the activities of transcendental chanting and hearing of the holy name of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The words Yusmat Katamrita Nishevaka mean those who engage in relishing the nectar of topics of your Lordship. There are two narrative books which especially concern the words and activities of Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is the instruction given by Krishna, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the book containing topics exclusively about Krishna and his devotees. These two books are the special nectar of the words of Krishna. For those who engage in the preaching of these two Vedic literatures, it is very easy to get out of the illusory conditioned life imposed upon us by Maya. The illusion is that the conditioned soul does not try to understand his spiritual identity. He is more interested in his external body, which is only a flash and which will be finished as soon as the time is designated. The whole atmosphere will change when the living entity has to transmigrate from one body to another. Under the spell of Maya, he will again be satisfied in a different atmosphere. This spell of Maya is called Avarnatmika Shakti because it is so strong that the living entity is satisfied in any abominable condition. Even if he is born as a worm living within the intestine or abdomen in the midst of urine and stool, still he is satisfied. This is the covering influence of Maya. But the human form of life is a chance to understand, and if one misses this opportunity, he is most unfortunate. The way to get out of illusory Maya is to engage in the topics of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya advocated a process whereby everyone may remain in his present position without change, but simply hear from the proper authoritative sources about Krishna. Lord Chaitanya advised everyone to spread the word of Krishna. He advised, all of you become spiritual masters. Your duty is simply to talk to whomever you meet of Krishna or of the instructions given by Krishna. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is operating for this purpose. We do not ask anyone to first change his position and then come to us. Instead, we invite everyone to come with us and simply chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because we know that if one simply chants and hears the topics of Krishna, one's life will change, he will see a new light, and his life will be successful. Umagyanatimirandasya gnanjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha Sri Chaitanya manobishtam sapitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kada mayam dadati swapadantikam vandeham Shri Guru Shiyata padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhandaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Kam karoti vachalam pankum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. I'll read the translation again. The Vidyadhara said, Dear Lord, this human form of body is meant for attaining the highest perfectional objective. But impelled by your external energy, the living entity misidentifies himself with this body and with the material energy. And therefore, influenced by Maya, he wants to become happy by material enjoyment. He is misled and always attracted by temporary, illusory happiness. But your transcendental activities are so powerful that if one engages in the hearing and chanting of such topics, he can be delivered from illusion. Chapter title, The Sacrifice Performed by Daksha. Hare Krishna. We welcome you all to the abode of Shri Radha Gopinath. Appreciate your endeavor on this cold morning, cold, windy. Yesterday it was raining also, just to make things more worse. Just to set the context, Daksha Yajna, we know what happened during the performance of this Yajna. Initially, Lord Shiva wasn't invited, despite him being the son-in-law of Daksha, because he was feeling jealous and envious of Lord Shiva. He didn't invite him. Sati comes there. Sati gives up her body, and then Lord Shiva sends all his followers to go and desecrate the place, which they duly do. And in the process, they also chop off the head of Daksha Prajapati. And they punished each one of the different offenders in a suitable, appropriate way, so to speak. They tore the beard of Bhrigumuni broke the teeth, cursed the Brahmanas and whatnot. And later on, when things go out of hand, Lord Brahma, accompanied by all the other demigods, they go and pacify Lord Shiva. And Shiva then gives a remedy to the situation. And he gives the solution. In fact, that's how this whole chapter started. Lord Shiva says how Daksha, he will regain back his life. And at that point of time, Daksha was just a headless body. He said he would be having a new head of a goat transplanted. And we saw when Daksha gets his new head, he offers words of glorification for Lord Shiva. And Srila Prabhupada explains there that this is the proof that unlike the modern understanding, which says that memory is a function of our brain, Prabhupada says, no, memory is a function of our subtle body. Prabhupada says, here is the proof that Daksha Prajapati had already lost his head and he got a brand new head with brand new set of brains. But he still remembered what he did in the past with this previous head, original head. So Prabhupada says, even though his brain has changed, he still remembers everything. And that's the proof that the memory is a function of our subtle body, intelligence to be more precise. So he offers words of glorification, Lord Shiva forgives him, and Lord Shiva also gives the remedy for each one of the different personalities who were afflicted with pain by his followers. For a start, Bhrigu, he says, Bhrigu has lost his beard, but he would get a new beard of that of goat. Like that, he says, the demigod who lost his teeth, he can eat through the mouth of his disciples because they still have the teeth. And if he wants to take something directly, then he can take something that's made of wheat flour, dough. So like that, Lord Shiva, he rectifies the situation, so to speak. Here is the first lesson we can understand how here we're talking about personalities who can see Supreme Lord face to face, who are demigods themselves, many of them, who are endowed with so much potency, so much power. But despite all of that, because being under the influence of this illusory energy, which Srila Prabhupada explains, everyone does mistakes. When the intelligence gets covered, Prabhupada says, Avarnatmika Shakti. So Maya has got two potencies, covering potency and pulling down potency. Avarnatmika and Prakshepatmika. Avarnatmika is, you know, you study, you hear, you have experienced something. Based on that, you have learnt some lessons. But the same situation presents again, you make the wrong choice again, and you do the same mistake again. How many of you have this experience? Yeah, if you have ever wondered, where is Maya? That's Maya. Maya covers our intelligence. So, Avarnatmika Shakti means that you do the same mistake over and over again. So here, demigods, despite being situated in mode of goodness, despite being situated in a very, very elevated position, still, Brahmanas, known for being in that position, still, because of the influence of Maya, their intelligence got covered. Srila Prabhupada explains, because of that influence of Avarnatmika Shakti, they couldn't discern right from wrong, and because of that, they couldn't respect Lord Shiva properly. And then, Lord Shiva, understanding this precarious position that all of us are in, he mercifully forgives. So no situation is too worse or too bad for Krishna to forgive. This is one lesson we need to understand. Many times we think we do something and you look back, especially if you have a long weekend, for example, you will have big plans, right? First day I'll do this, second day we do this, third day we'll do this. First day we waste thinking we have a lot of time. Second day you regret looking back, I wasted one day and lose that day also. And third day you are already worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. Happens. All the time it happens. One wrong step you take, and then already you made a wrong decision, that will give you pain. And the very fact that you missed an opportunity will cause you even more pain. But we have to understand that Krishna is all forgiving and Krishna can rectify any situation. No situation, no mistake, and no act is too sinful for Krishna to forgive. And we can see Lord Shiva being one of the Gunavatars of Krishna, in many ways non-different from Lord Vishnu himself. He is demonstrating it. There was like utter chaos. If you look at how the Bhutaganas of Lord Shiva, they came and desecrated. They did everything they could possibly do to inflict so much pain on other people who have offended Lord Shiva. But then Lord Shiva comes and he rectifies the situation so nicely. You will see Vishnu doing that. You will see Krishna doing it. How much situation or how many difficulties Pandavas went through. But at every instance he would come, rectify the situation, and he'll go. Another place, again he'll come. Whenever there is situation, whenever there is difficulty, Lord Krishna would come. So much so that Kunti Maharani was asking, may all the troubles keep on coming. Why? Whenever there is trouble, Krishna would automatically come there. So here, first point is Lord Shiva comes, accepts all their prayers, and he rectifies the situation. And then he encourages Daksha Prajapati to finish the yajna. Prajapati goes, finishes, and at the end of the yajna, the Supreme Lord, Vishnu himself appears. And when Vishnu appears, each of these different personalities who were present, they offer beautiful prayers. Everyone, starting from Daksha to Lord Brahma, Shiva, Brahmanas, Brahma Patnis, Gandharvas. And today's verse discusses about the prayers offered by Vidyadharas. Normally, when Supreme Lord does any activity, any uncommon activity especially, you would see different personalities. They would come, they would throw flowers, they would sing, they would play music instruments. Apsaras usually they dance, Gandharvas they usually sing, Vidyadharas they usually play music instruments and they sing beautiful poetry glorifying. So this is what they do, and this is what they are going to say here. The Vidyadhara said, dear Lord, this human form of body is meant for attaining highest perfectional objective, but impelled by your external energy, the living entity misidentifies himself with this body and with the material energy, and therefore, influenced by Maya, he wants to become happy by material enjoyment. So first point they are saying is no different to what Rishabdev says, Nunam pramatta kurte vikarma, yadindriya pritya pranoti, nasadumani tayatamanoyam, ashan api kleshada atmadeha. Rishabdev says, this human body is a result of our past sinful activity. We should not make any mistake. So when we stand in front of the mirror, we can only look at it and we can say, yes, the result of my sins look very beautiful. And we are too caught up in actually seeing, identifying with it, not only identifying with it, beautifying it, and wondering what other ways are there to make it even more beautiful. But what do the Vidyadharas here they say, what does Rishabdev say? He says that this human body which we have obtained is simply a result of our past sinful activity. And because this is just the consequence of our past sinful activity, we should not do anything that would further its lifespan unnecessarily or further its journey in this material world. Instead, we should use this human form of life to ask, why am I suffering? How to get myself liberated out of this body? Normally when we see, if you observe the nature, Shastras, they say there are 4 activities which are common to both humans and animals. Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maitunam cha. Animals, if you see, they get all of the items very easily. Human form of life, Ahara, they get eating, sleeping, mating, defending, everything very easily. We think it's easy, it's actually not easy. Even animals go through struggle, but there is some arrangement that is made for them. Without them having to go to work 9 to 5 job, they can still be in their own habitat, and there are arrangements that's actually made for them. But as far as human form of life is concerned, the options are more. But we have to work for it. We have to work and earn it. Nature endowed with us with the capacity to either use that potency with all those options to misuse it, or to use to elevate ourselves. For example, if you think of mating for animals, it's just seasonal. Prabhupada says in one place, to be a vegetarian is not such a great, glorious act. A pigeon is a vegetarian. Monkey is a vegetarian, Prabhupada says, but a pigeon has sexual intercourse 200 times a day. Lion is a non-vegetarian, but it has sexual intercourse only once in a whole year, Prabhupada says. So being a vegetarian doesn't make pigeon any good, and being a non-vegetarian didn't make lion any bad. So Prabhupada says being a vegetarian is not a great qualification. But being a devotee is a great qualification. So Prabhupada would say we are not vegetarians, we are prasaditarians. So we have to understand that whatever that animals have, humans also have, but humans are given this choice because nature has given some respect to human form of body, to human life. So we are given an opportunity, facility, potency to live in a bit more comfortable situation. We are given more options, we can see. Mating is not seasonal for humans, for example. Eating, we can choose. You can go vegetarian, non-vegetarian, anything you can. But with power comes responsibility. Animals, if they kill another animal to eat, they don't incur any karma. Humans, if they kill even a plant, there is karma. What to speak of killing animals? More karma. So, human form of life, Prabhupada says it's a very responsible position. It's a very responsible life. And if we understand the responsibility that's involved with this, then we'll be very careful how we spend our time, how we spend our life, and how we use this potency. This potency can be used to deliver ourselves. Prabhupada here he says, Krishna Shiksha, whoever not just reads Bhagavad Gita and reads Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada is specifically saying whoever preaches Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, they will become free from illusion. So reading alone is not good enough. Prabhupada is specifically saying we have to preach as well here. So human form of life, here Prabhupada says, quoting Prahlad Maharaj, even though on one hand there are Shastric injunctions that say this is just a result of our sinful activity, we should not identify ourselves with the body. At the same time, this is a very great tool. Without this, we cannot actually practice bhakti. Very difficult. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he speaks about the priority in the lives of devotees, he says, First priority is health. Second is sadhana. Third only seva. We always tend to do in the reverse order. First we do seva, and then if there is time we do sadhana. Health we tend to neglect always. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur says this is the priority. Why? Because when we do any service, we have to do it holistically, not just physically. Mentally, intellectually, we need to use all our faculty in the service of Krishna. Otherwise, have you got this experience? Sometimes you look at a place, it looks dirty. So what you do with all good intention, you bring a bucket of water, dip a cloth and you clean. Halfway through you realize, actually I'm making it look more worse. How many of you have that experience? Happens. Many times our so-called service is like that. When we are not properly rested, when our sadhana is not proper, when our consciousness is not proper, we tend to do service in a way with all good intention. However, rather than increasing the pleasure of Krishna and devotees, it sometimes has the negative effect. But still, Krishna is very merciful. He gives us the credit for at least having attempted to do something. So here, human life is like that. Human body is like that. The beauty of Krishna consciousness is we can start from anywhere. We can sit, we can look back and we can worry and we can regret. It has its role. What's the duty or what's the goal of repenting something? So you realize the mistake and you don't do it again. Once you do that, there is no more reason for us to look back and regret. Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness is full of optimism. Krishna always gives one chance after the other, after the other, after the other. I always say this. Every story in Shastras have a happy ending. Even here you see, when you read the description of how Veerabhadra, when he came to kill Daksha Prajapati, at one point they attempted to behead him, but they couldn't do. Veerabhadra himself is so huge, he catches a hold of his body with his legs and tries to pull the head out of the body. Can you imagine the pain that Daksha Prajapati must have gone through? I was thinking at that time, Daksha Prajapati must have had only one prayer. Please somehow quickly kill me. Pulling. And everyone is creating havoc in the whole place. Who would have thought is there any scope for bringing orderliness in such a situation? But then you see few verses later, everything is hunky-dory. Krishna adjusts the situation, same personality who was very indifferent to Mother Sati. When he realizes Mother Sati is no more, he bereaves, he gets choked up, even with the head of a goat. And then he offers words of glorification to Lord Shiva. You take any situation, Mrigari, Shaubari, Vishwamitra, any story, Yayati, Pururava, there will always be a happy ending. They will go through difficulty. Shastras do highlight the difficulty which they go through if one doesn't stick to the path of bhakti properly. But then there will always be a happy ending in the story. Even though on one hand we say scriptures are quite harsh, they are quite heavy. But scriptures don't leave any loose ends. They are very, very clear. So here, even though the human form of life, it is responsible, yes, body, any material body, is just a result of our past sinful activities, but still, it is the greatest tool with which we are going to get liberated from this material world. So health has to be taken care. If we neglect our health, then taking care of health becomes our only seva for rest of our life. But if we put aside some time every day, can be 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, it will help us to optimize the usage of our body, and we can do service for a very, very long time. In one place, Prabhupada says, it actually takes a long time for us to get purified. So we need to prolong our life in this body as long as possible. So in one place, Prabhupada, even during his Antilila pastimes, Prabhupada says, he's telling to his disciples, you see, either you keep it or let it die. Don't neglect it. Prabhupada is talking about his body. He's talking about his body as if it's some other, some other thing, some third person's property. Prabhupada talks like that. You either keep it or you let it die, but don't neglect it. Meaning he's telling to his disciples, if you want me to live in this body, then you better take care of this one properly, or you just let me go with the natural course, how things go. Don't do things in a half-baked way. That's Prabhupada's point. So Prabhupada says that it takes a long time for us to get purified. This is one life we have, and in this one life, we want to prolong our life in a healthy state as long as possible. So we can actually perform bhakti, we can do our duty properly, and that way we don't need to take one more life to get purified. We can take many lives to serve Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, definitely. But we want to be in a liberated state. We want to have body like that of Narada Muni. So we can serve Shri Shri Radha Gopinath forever. But in one life, we should prolong as much as possible so we can purify ourselves. It should not be that we go to a point in life and we think, when will I die? That's a bad idea. That's not a great achievement. Anyway, everyone will die. So we don't need to sit there and worry. How long will I live? How long will I die? Let that happen whenever, and whenever it happens, we can accept things gracefully. But most important thing is, as long as we actually live, we need to do things which are totally in our control. Human body is actually an opportunity. It's a great tool which is given to us. Krishna himself says, you read in Uddhava Gita section, Nirdeha Madhyam, Sulabam Sudurlabam, Plavam Sukalpam, Guru Karnadaram, Mayanukulena Nabasvateritam, Puman Bhavabdim, Nataret Satmaha. This human body is like a huge ship, boat. And this boat is being guided by Guru Karnadaram. The captain of the ship is Guru. And the favorable winds that will steer the boat towards the destination are Mayanukulena. Krishna says, the instructions which I give in the Shastras, they are the favorable winds with which we steer the boat towards the destination. So everything is important in this. If you see, and we are the passenger in the boat. Which one would you think is most important in all of these aspects? Passenger, boat, captain, winds. Water is not within our control. That's ocean of material existence. Other than that, all four are important, correct? You don't want to be a sick patient on a boat which is actually going towards the destination. You don't want to be a sick patient, correct? Have you got that experience in your life wherein, you are on a journey, but you had a very terrible experience? It could be a headache, or you felt like throwing up. Samskars are strong. We don't want to be in that position. Nor do we want in a position wherein we feel fit, but there is holes in the boat. That's also a problem. We don't want to be in a situation where the boat is actually going through a stormy weather. You don't know what direction boat is going. Sometimes we have experience here. We plan for festivals. How much prasadam are you supposed to cook? Nobody sends RSVP, correct? You cook less, you will get complaint. You didn't serve everyone properly. You cook more, again you will hear complaint that you are wasting prasad. What are you supposed to do? I shared this once, I think. This happened like 5-6 years ago. We were new in management and we were running our first Janmashtami festival. We planned for, I'm on record, so I'm not going to tell you how many people came for the festival. But I'll tell you in proportion, you will get an idea. What we planned as how many people would actually visit across 3 days. Those many people came on half a day, first day. That will give you some experience, some idea. So it was totally beyond. So whatever we bought as boga, very well planned, got over in half a day. And by evening, they have already purchased more, and they were cooking. And then around like 7:30 on the first day, I heard a knock. I'm opening, Yamuna Priya Prabhu came in. Prabhuji. And he was telling me the situation. What should we do? I told him, you see, situation is beyond my control. So I'm chanting Hare Krishna, you all sing your beats here and chant. We just don't know what to do. And interestingly, when you leave it to Krishna's hands, somehow everything got sorted out automatically. And many times we think we are fixing the problem, but we actually cause more problem. And you leave it to devotees. Devotees are empowered and they'll actually make the decision and they'll do. But the moment they see you around, everyone will come to you. Prabhuji, what should we do? What were you? Please continue to do what you were doing until I came here. I'm not here. So, we want to be in a situation where everything is favorable. Our journey has to be going in the proper direction. We need to know who is leading, who we are taking shelter of. We want to be fit. Boat also needs to be very, very strong. Then the journey also will be very, very peaceful, very, very enjoyable, pleasurable. Otherwise, we would go to the destination, but if we are a sick patient along the way, even though we may be in the association of devotees, even though we may be heading in a certain direction, you can't enjoy. More than us enjoying, if we suffer, definitely we can't give enjoyment to Krishna. That's more important. Okay, so taking care of ourselves is the first step in giving pleasure to Krishna. We need to understand that. Same way, taking care of other people also starts with taking care of ourselves. There was one day he gave a seminar on stress management. I was there, part of the audience. He finished giving. I was speaking to people. So, how do you like the presentation, everything? Some they said the same customary answer that yeah, it was very good, inspiring and everything. One guy came and he said, the teacher who spoke about stress management, I think he is very stressed out. His face looks like that. Believe it or not, the teacher was actually going through trouble at that point of time in his personal life. We think we can cover up, people will sense it very easily. Okay, so many times we think we will actually serve Krishna, but in the process we make ourselves suffer. That's not what Krishna wants. We think we will actually help other people. But if we are not in a position to take care of ourselves, nobody will feel like coming and taking shelter of us, correct? You wouldn't want, you look at someone else, their trouble, if it is big, how would you think that person can solve my trouble? You know the famous prayer Prabhupada told to the temple president in Vrindavan after inaugurating Krishna Balram temple. He said, any problem, you go to Krishna Balram and offer the prayers. My dear sirs, but this is the prayer Prabhupada said. My dear sirs, I have this problem, please solve. And Prabhupada says, Krishna Balram will solve. Why? Because they don't have any problem. If we have problem ourselves, how can we solve other people's problem? When you go talk to a person, if the person himself looks like going through some trouble, you won't feel like asking help. Same thing. Our position as devotees, we have responsibilities at multiple levels. On one level, we need to please Krishna all the time. Please Guru and Krishna. Another level, we need to be happy, satisfied ourselves. Another level, we are supposed to inspire other people. Now, how much we please Krishna, how much we inspire other people, it's not within our hands. What is within our hands is whatever that I am capable of doing. Am I doing my sadhana properly? Am I taking care of my health properly? Am I keeping my consciousness properly? So Krishna, Prabhupada says, he always rectifies the situation, provided we ask for help. You know that famous verse, Katanchana smrite yasmin dushkaram shukaram bhavet, vishmrite viparitam syat, Sri Chaitanyam namamitam. Anything difficult in this world becomes easy as soon as we remember Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But if we somehow forget to remember him, even the most easy things become difficult. So any problem we have in life, all we have to do is take shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Write it down somewhere. Kadamgana Maharaj said in one lecture, in one seminar he was giving in Sydney. He said he went to a shop in Jaipur. And he said, in Jaipur, everyone is a devotee of Radha Govindaji. When he went to the shop, there were photos everywhere. Photos of Krishna. Photos of Krishna on the door handle, on the door, wall. And the person was actually having a jewelry business, even on the displays, everywhere. And when Maharaj came in, he was doing pranam and he said he had rings and there's Krishna photos everywhere. He had a pen, Krishna photo there. Buttons, shirt button, there was Krishna photo there. Everywhere. Mobile phone, Krishna photo, sticker, laptop, everywhere. And then Maharaj just looked at everything and he asked, why have you stuck Krishna's photo everywhere? And the person said, Maharaj says, he said, Maharaj, otherwise I'll forget Krishna. So Maharaj was appreciating, saying on one hand you can say, here is somebody who is doing things fanatically. But he said, but you look at the intention. Look at his simple bhakti. He doesn't want to forget Krishna, that's why he has stuck Krishna everywhere. Many times, we try to use our intelligence so much that we forget Krishna. So we need to stick to that basics. We need to stick to the basics that there is only so much we actually control in our life. Even any activity that we do, there is an endeavor that we put, but then Paramatma need to sanction. So we don't control everything. So here Vidyadharas, they actually say, whoever who is in this human body, even though they are actually with the result of their past sinful activity, it can be used in the service of Krishna. It can be used in the service of the Lord. In fact, it is the only way for us to engage in the service of the Lord. Because in material world, we deal with everything that is made of different elements. Panchabhuta. Rishikena, Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. So if we have to engage in the service of the Lord, then we need the senses, we need the body, we need mind, we need our intelligence, everything. So on one hand, we can sit and regret. We can sit and regret to the extent that I would like to have a spiritual body so I can serve Krishna unlimitedly. That level of regret is good. But not that sitting and just worrying. That's not going to please Krishna. At the end of the day, that's what counts. That's what matters. But we work with whatever Krishna has given at any point of time. I remember asking this question to my mentor once. When I went to India for training, I asked him, there are some austerities we go through. Like, many of you would have gotten that experience, even when you go to Dham. Okay, you go there, it's very cold. You go there, the rooms are not properly furnished. Bathroom toilets are not proper. You would still think, okay, it's just a short duration. Somehow I actually go past, then I'll go back to Sydney. As if Swargaloka waits here. Here also, we have to come and clean the toilet again here. But we think like that. So I asked my mentor, so I'm going to stay in India for so many months. Any difficulty I go through, what should I think? Should I think this is how my life is going to be and completely embrace the situation like that? Or should I think this is just for short duration of time and then somehow do whatever you need to actually do, thinking that something better awaits in future? He said, you are complicating your life. You keep it very simple. You always think at any point of time, whatever situation, whether you are India, you are in Australia, or you are anywhere, any situation, Krishna has actually put you there to do the best thing you can possibly do. And you take it up and you do it that way. So you don't think about future. Prabhupada would always say, don't trust future, how much ever pleasant it is. Because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know whether situation will be favorable. We don't know whether we'll be in a position to actually serve. So we should never think, I will do this in future. I mean, we can plan, but we can't just sit and daydream about the future all the time. Radhanath Maharaj very beautifully says, continuous improvement is more important than delayed perfection. Mind always says that, let us just do, let's wait, let's make all the preparation and then they'll do. What if the day doesn't come when you have done everything satisfactorily? Which is most likely going to be the case, right? We'll never do. We'll never come to the point wherein we can say, yes, I've done everything so perfectly, and now I can take the next step forward. No. You always take whatever that you have at any point of time and do the best possible service that you can at that point of time. And when Krishna is actually pleased, then he'll give us a bit more opportunity, more facility. And if we are struggling, even with small, thinking that when situation changes, I'll do something in future, situation never changes. And we'll be stuck with wherever we are. I'll stop here. Any questions or comments? Definitely. Habit is second nature. So whatever that we do, we have to train ourselves. Just like how we train our physical body, there's something called a muscle memory. You will see. You might have seen videos, even of cricket players or baseball players. I remember watching one video, sometimes you just scroll, just to come. There was one baseball player, he's talking to the television personality who is interviewing them, and then a ball comes flying. Without even looking, he just catches like that. So they train themselves so much. So training our subtle body is also happening in the same way. When we study Shastras, we are training our intelligence. So the level of discrimination gets improved. Same way even with memory. Because many times we think we have limited memory. Actually, we don't have limited memory. You will be surprised how many times you can memorize. How many verses you can memorize. I was once talking to a youth, I was telling him, so you recite the verses, you can memorize. Krishna himself says you need to do. And then he was saying, yes, but I always feel scared. If I memorize the second verse, I'll forget the first verse. How many of you have that? We have that, right? But I said, no, it's not like that. You memorize the first verse, you go memorize the second verse, for example. At that time, don't worry about the first verse. Try to revise as much as possible. Keep on doing. Then after the second verse, go to third verse. The biggest uncertainty we all have in our mind is, what if I memorize all 10 verses and I forget all the other 9 verses? But shlokas, the way how they come is, I was giving a crude example. You don't need to practice. Don't practice this. It's like using bad words. Right? You keep on hearing, Sunday, suddenly it just comes out. You don't think, it just comes out. That's exactly how shlokas also work. You keep on memorizing 200 verses. At some point of time, each one of those 200 verses will come. Because we don't consciously go and do a control S. Okay, I'm saving it there. We are not doing it that way. So you memorize. For 1 week, you take one verse, memorize it this week. Next week, go take another verse, memorize. You can memorize even one verse every day. You can memorize even multiple verses on the same day. Doesn't matter. What we think is the capacity of our intelligence or capacity of our memory is way different to how it works. And the only way for us to realize that is by putting it to test. You will be amazed how much we can actually memorize. So same way, just like how we train our physical body, we train our subtle body also. Radhika Mataji, you had a question. Good question. Should we take care of our health, or will Krishna take care of our health? At what point? Because we also hear both the versions. On one hand, we talk about Bhaktivinoda Thakur's priority, Prabhupada's instructions. On the other hand, we are also told service now, samadhi later. One thing I always say, especially to the youth and even to our ashram devotees, is sadhana, spiritual sadhana, and physical sadhana, meaning can be yoga, can be walking, can be anything you do. These two has to be done every day. You can't make it up for the next day, the quota of the previous day. You can't do that. So your sadhana, spiritual sadhana and physical sadhana needs to happen on a regular basis, because rest you need to give how much the body needs every single day. Reading, chanting, hearing, you have to give that dosage every single day. Service, you can make it up. Okay, let's say you have 7 hours worth of service, which you are supposed to do in a week. You can do it across either 3 days, or you can even do all the 7 hours in just 1 day, no problem. But as far as health is concerned, there is only so much our body can actually handle. So it needs to be given that dosage every single day. We can't think, okay, next 10 years I'll push myself, exert myself completely, and then I'll make it up after the 10th year. Problem is, we are getting old. Devamrita Maharaj once told me, once you cross 40, you can only do damage control with the body. You cannot do anything more. So the sooner we start with diet and exercise, it's better. The longer we actually prolong to actually start, it becomes difficult, more and more difficult. Exercise actually makes our body flexible, and the more flexible we are, more we can transcend the ill effects of age. And flexibility is not something that you just gain like one day. It doesn't work like that. Like I did the yoga course for a month, like intense, every single day. I've never done yoga for such a long time, for such a prolonged time also. I was thinking actually, even when I was doing, this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, to improve the quality of our chanting, we should chant attentively for a long time and for a prolonged time also. Continuously as well as for a prolonged time. Which means every day we have to chant as much as possible. Like that you have to chant for whole day as well as for every single day for rest of our life. So our spiritual sadhana and physical sadhana has to be given in a certain dosage every single day. Same as with food, same as with rest, same as with exercise. Of course, our life and soul, chanting, hearing, everything. Services can be accumulated. Services you can actually make up. What you couldn't do last 2 days, okay, next 2 days we have holiday, more free time we can actually do. So priority we have to be very, very clear that way. Second point, up to what point should we actually do, and at what point Krishna does it? Krishna doesn't personally do everything for anyone and everyone in the way that we understand. Krishna personally reciprocates with all of us in a level which we can handle. Imagine if Radha Gopinath come right in front of you, what will you do? Okay, you can cook bhoga and offer them. Tell me, what will you do after that? We don't know. If Krishna says, okay, ask me a boon, what do you think you will ask? Nothing much. We don't even know what to ask. So that's why even in Shastras you read, Prabhupada clearly distinguishes these two terms. You can read that in Bhagavatam, you can read that in Nectar of Instruction also. Like we say, Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttama. There is Kanishta Bhakta and there is Kanishta Adhikari. Uttama Bhakta and Uttama Adhikari, Prabhupada says. Adhikari means someone who has that qualification. But if we say Uttama Bhakta means somebody who is acting on that platform. They are two different things. Crude example is somebody may be an MBA graduate. Technically they can be a very successful businessman. So somebody who is just done MBA, they are only Adhikari, which means potential is there. But one who uses that knowledge to become a successful businessman, then they are Uttama Bhakta. not adhikari alone. Now, in order for us to be in a position where, okay, we can totally leave everything to Krishna, we don't have that adhikar yet. Forget about to actually realizing that adhikar. So we can't be, if we rate ourselves honestly, where we are, okay, we are somewhere in between Kanishta and Madhyama. That's where pretty much most of us we are in. So if our level of surrender, our level of commitment, our level of Shraddha, faith is only in that level, we have to be reasonable in our expectation, how much we can expect Krishna to reciprocate at that point of time. Krishna reciprocates at that level for people who are in Uttamadhikari platform. But we can't be in this range and expect Krishna, you do everything. It doesn't work like that. Pandavas, you will be, if you read Mahabharata, you will see Krishna was with the Pandavas. But he makes them to actually work hard. Krishna could have made the whole thing very, very easy. How long it would have taken for him to release Sudarshan Chakra? But no, through the Pandavas, he is teaching all of us, actually. This is human form of life. We have to do something with this life. And Krishna is teaching through them. You see what all difficulties they go through, how, rather than getting disturbed, Prabhupada actually writes in one place, Narada Muni actually teases Krishna. Krishna, you were with the Pandavas, they are surrendered to you, they are related to you, and they lost their kingdom, their wives was insulted, they went to the forest, they had to actually fight so much. So literally being with you, they actually lost only everything. But rather than their love reducing, their love for you is increasing. What magic is this? He says like that. Prabhupada is actually saying in one place. So we have to understand our position where we are, in our level, we are in a position to, okay, we can take instructions and we can follow it. At what point will Krishna will take it up himself is after, as long as, or let me take a step back. We have to first do things which are within our capacity to do, how much ever we can. From that point onwards, Krishna will take over. When devotees are too busy serving Krishna for 22 hours out of 24 hours like Goswami, then Krishna will say, okay, this devotee is not doing anything. Isn't that what he did for Raghunath Das Goswami? Coming and guarding, Radharani coming and giving boga to Rupa Goswami, so that he can cook and offer to Sanatana Goswami. But we can't be in the level where we struggle to chant our 16 rounds and expect Krishna to save Mahaprasad for us. No, you have to go and fight. This is our position. Okay, so where we are to where what adhikar is actually needed, there are two different things. But we don't need to, we can keep it simple. We have to keep on doing things as much as we think we can do without giving up. Okay, like even some of you here, you are part of a fundraising team. We are rebuilding the temple. Easy way is, Krishna, we are surrendered to you. Please build your temple for yourself. Laziest prayer of all is, Krishna, please take me back to Godhead. Krishna won't. We have to do what we are supposed to do. We do, and then Krishna will do. Krishna has already given donation, 2.2 million. You raise the remaining. But with this, we can't do much. You can't say. No, but Krishna gave the first donation. Radha Gopinath gave the first donation.